Hello and welcome to the skating lesson. I'm Dave Lees.
And I'm Jonathan Byer, and I'm just going to own this for you, Dave.
Okay.
So, Dave is the best. He keeps me informed as to what's happening in skating. I get all the videos sent to me. It's just amazing. Because now during the Grand Prix, of course, like I'm on top of it. But over the summer, when I'm like traveling, I can't keep track of all these things as well as you do. And so then yesterday I kind of had an icky day. And so then I sat down to watch all the videos, and I was getting angry at the videos because I had like a tough day. And then when we filmed, it was just vitriol. It was like, it was just seething analysis that was just.
People don't like you angry. They would be mad at me for it. So,
yeah,
and then,
like Dave did to John.
I need to be the bitchier one. Okay, that's how this works.
You were finding like beautiful sides to things and being forced to elevate the mood. So I wrote Dave afterwards, and I was like, that was garbage, and that, which ironically was something I kept saying during the recap. And so I was like, let's go ahead and refilm it. New day.
You had a real issue with the Toronto summer competition.
I really let that
It was a trigger.
And perhaps it wasn't about the Toronto competition, Dave. Maybe it was something that was going on inside.
well, let's start with actual sad news yesterday. Sway and Han are out of the Grand Prix. We don't know exactly the details. We know that she had an injury with her foot after Worlds. I just hope that it's a different foot, different injury, because she did have a foot problem, in the past that is plaguing her. We remember Chen obviously had a foot problem in 1994 that never quite got better. So we hope, that is not the case and that she is back and better than ever. And it was a funny thing, we were saying that they're not going to be on the Grand Prix. They'll be kind of out of the conversation. And then right when we were about to forget about them, they will reemerge, like before Four Continents. Like it will just be the greatest Valentine.
Ex Machina coming in and saving the whole season. Not that the whole season will need to be saved, but like just when you forgot that they were relevant in this scene, for them to come back with whatever it is they come back with. My question to you was about whatever drama had unfolded about the Federation. You had mentioned that there was also speed skating drama within the Chinese Federation and the ISU. Obviously, they withdrew the Grand Prix. They're now replacing it with that competition in Helsinki or Finland.
It's in Helsinki, which is in Finland. And now that we...
Home of Susanna Rakamo, where her dad was the mayor back
in the day. Look at you with the little asides. So the thing is that they did offer it to Korea first. I guess they couldn't put it together in time, even though they have quite the burgeoning federation. But I knew that Finland has wanted to have it for a long time. They are very big in synchro. I don't think there's going to be synchro here at the event, but maybe one of those teams will come out and do a... Couldn't you picture
just rock the ice for all of the skaters?
The synchro girls, they could be the flower girls, and maybe they could do something creative. They could come out in a line in between. It would ruin the ice, but anyway, I have such plans. They could have Hanyu skate, and they could get the poos as they're skating in a 4x4 block.
Okay. Why don't you bring in Nicole Bobek? Then you could just lower her on that aerial ring or what she does, and then she could just pick it up and then be swept away. Yeah.
I saw, she was at Sun Valley last week on Instagram. I saw her doing a spiral. It was a real moment. But then, I couldn't share it because when people have private Instagram accounts, you can't share their videos. My sister does that. I can't share videos of my nephews. It is just devil. So
and I have some friends that only seem to exclusively share from unavailable people with their privacy settings. My mom, bless her heart or not, will send me an attachment every day that says unavailable because of privacy. Yeah,
way for me to feel loved. Okay.
Yeah. Emotionally unavailable. Okay.
So, in better news, we did see Nathan Chen's new programs. Now, we saw them on the small rink at Sun Valley from about a week and a half ago. He is doing them at the ice currently, but we won't see that for another couple of days when I believe that they're broadcasting it the 4th and the 5th. And there are shows the 4th and 5th. I don't know which season is being, which show.
No.
Which
and that's how they, so then they'll release the YouTube videos after they've already put the premiere on television? Okay.
That's usually how this works. We get the videos. But we did see some news clips. But Nathan we know he's doing his, I believe he was doing his free skate there because he was wearing that blue kind of outfit. It sort of looks like a shirt that you could get at H&M, but then it's like longer in the back. I don't know if this is, he's got some costume issues. This does not look like a Vera Wang. It's not black, so.
Well, but even with the Vera Wangs, as I said during the Olympics, he said, like, just the interchanging of them, I was like, I have a feeling Vera, like, kind of designed them with the program and the music in mind.
Did she?
I don't, you know what, I stand by them. I know that people are like, oh, it's just black with a stripe, and I was like, I know.
Look, he looked sophisticated, he looked regal. Did it have anything to do with the music? I'm not quite sure.
Well, they didn't think so because he just kept swapping them out.
Just like his jumping passes, okay? I mean...
This isn't something casual like your quadruple layout. This is your costume. Take it seriously.
Look, before the Olympics, he got nicer costumes. He got a haircut. He really went to those Olympics. Yuki had put all that pressure on him because they were banking on him, making all that money with NBC. And
I know.
Another Yuki client went, you know, oh, God.
But got that world championship. And got, in my opinion, 2 quality programs.
Yes, I prefer the long. We talked about this already yesterday, so we'll pretend like we didn't.
Dave, what do you think about the new programs?
So, I think that the long that Lori did is a little bit more choreographically interesting. It's not stereotypically skating with the highs and lows. Also, we're seeing programs that are 4 minutes instead of 4.5 with the different jumping. So they're paced a little bit differently. Last year there was a definite middle section that had the footwork in it. This program is structured differently.
Yeah.
I like it. I think it's more of a stretch. I think that it's more forward for skating in that it's not just like the swooping of the edges. There's some force and strength movement to it. It's a little bit more contemporary.
It plays with a bit of the space and the energy a little bit. And you said something yesterday in our dress rehearsal that I really liked. And it was about how it was attempting relevancy and a current quality, but actually achieved it.
Yeah.
It actually achieved something accessible and now that isn't a dated attempt, as sometimes happens in skating.
Yeah.
Something tries to be overly current and yet seems even more hopelessly dated because it's just off. And I think they achieved a very cool, I think his will be the only free program like that, in that exact version. It will be uniquely Nathan, which I think is important.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that he's working with Shaylin and Lori. Again, it worked last year, and they can further develop those qualities in him. Sometimes Shaylin is more of a showgirl to me than like a deep depth choreographer, but she has done brilliant things in the past. When she was with Takahashi, she did that Pagliacci program I love so much, and she's done a lot of great work. I think here with Nathan, I know you loved the short last year. It did grow on me.
I didn't love it until I saw it live. And when I saw it live, because I looked back then to then watch it on the tape, but of course you can't unsee it live, you know. But he really performed it there. And I felt like in both of these versions of the program, he was really performing. And I feel like she must see this side of him and continues to want to encourage it. And I think she must be growing a little bit as well. Because this did have a bit more complexity to it than some of her previous pieces, knowing always that we don't know what happens between the time it was given and then the time.
And then there's also ability. Nathan has different skating skills than Hanyu, perhaps than Ashley. You know, you have to match it to the skater. I liked the spin. The entrance into the spin was quite cool. It was a highlight. It's hard to watch on this channel. It's on the Eyes on Nathan YouTube channel. And as we were saying, it's a very enthusiastic
We love enthusiasm for skating. Do I love it being screened into the recording device that is showing me the film? Maybe less so. Yeah.
But I appreciate that skating had fans that were there. They seemed newer. The energy was so fresh. They were less jaded. But if you watch the rehearsal footage, anytime Nathan would skate by them, they would start cheering as they were filming. So they were multitasking. So I appreciate that.
encouraging in a myriad of ways.
I always struggle, even when I'm at a show, or I'm not always a great applauder, Jonathan. I have to tell you.
And I feel guilty about that at times. Like after the spin, of course I appreciate a great spin, but I'm in the moment and
Yes.
I'm kind of along for the ride, and I don't consciously keep interrupting my own mood to do the applause. But of course I was like, but I should, because it makes a difference. I enjoy hearing other people applaud, but I often forget to myself.
Occasionally I will, but if I have notes in my hand or something, I slap it against my leg or something. But of course, I was. You can see me on certain meets televised where I'm like yelling, willing people to do well, but that's different. That's not.
There's footage that Jason Brown Riverdance. I'm in the first row above the lumber liquidators sign or whatever, and every time he goes up for a jump, you see me like clutching my scarf, and I'm like, oh my gosh, terrible.
Speaking of Jason Brown, apparently his free skate is beautiful, but the quad is a no-go.
Well, even if they have the keys to unlock it for him, it's got to be a process.
Mm-hmm. It's just not going to be ready for this year. I think that's the safest way to say it. But it's not there yet to put in. So,
and I'm sorry for my denseness, but the free skate is David?
The free skate is David. The short was Rokin. The short was done before he moved. So
more of the same, I would assume.
Yeah, we saw clips of it on Instagram.
But I want that.
It looked very Rokin. Like, that leg was going behind the head, and there was some kicks, and,
extension. Yeah, okay.
Very, I'm sure Rohin's a good time. Okay. But anyway, look, I mean, that is... there's a lot going on in a Rokin footwork sequence. There's usually you're back on the toe pick and you're stretching forward.
And exhausting. I would think that's exhausting. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
the other thing that was interesting about the Nathan footage was it was so dark. Mm-hmm. So some of it was very difficult to see the nuance, of course. So that is a program both of them are very much programs I'm looking forward to seeing under proper lights, especially because I think I lost a lot. Like Sheila did that very big, cool sweeping edge at the beginning of the caravan, which I kind of liked, and it manipulates the audience into right away catching edge quality and this kind of thing. And I don't know, I was kind of all about it. So I'll be intrigued to see it.
I was not as into the caravan because, as I was telling you, the music to me is so reminiscent of bad gymnastics floor routines, usually given to like a junior lady. Some 13-year-old, and it's just kind of very generic music that's been around for decades. In gymnastics, which is just, a mishmash of 90 seconds of just a horrible music edit in general.
They need to spike at certain points, so I would think the repeats there are immense. I happen to like the music. I think it's like, there's an exoticism to it. I kind of like that era of music, so... for me, it was nice to see because I don't think that particular era and genre of composers is as overused in skating.
There's also overused gymnastics floor routines, but usually at the lower levels. When they get to the senior level, they don't actually reuse the same awful music in the same way. Someone's going to say that's not true, but when it's really abused is at the club level because there are so many level 10s and level 9s and level 8s. And the music that was so abused was the cutting edge music, the race, like da 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 da. And then J.C. Phelps used it at the Olympics, and every club gymnast ever used it for about.
It's the same copy, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there is, the equivalent of Carmen there as well. If you've ever had to hear the race at a competition, it's awful, and I feel your pain. Let's speak of, what's so funny to me is that last season, we saw so many rehashed programs, and many of them were to skating war horses, that were the fact that Shoma Uno's using Stairway to Heaven, which is decades old, feels so current and fresh, and the movement feels so inspired, and the energy of the program feels so
because he's
interesting and
bringing
powerful.
something to it. It's actually not a piece that I feel is used so much in skating.
Yeah.
I'm
I really
not
like in a
recalling-
Sandra Bezic Stars on Ice finale. Didn't they do Stairway to Heaven in like 98 maybe? I think they brought out the pleather pants and red shirt. We'll have to ask Sandra. I believe she was really into the like.
I don't count any of those. I mean, only competitively.
I don't really know what you were doing in the 90s, okay?
Yeah,
Besides being superior, okay?
You say no. I
You
was so
sanctimonious bitch, okay? Anyway.
Pro-Am, Hershey Pro-Ams and stuff like that. Ice Wars.
Listen,
So there.
it was Scott was returning to the ice. I think there was one of his many, yeah.
Oh yeah. We were watching Midori make her come back. I mean, there was stuff to do in the competitive world.
There was stuff to do in the 90s, yeah. So I really love the footwork sequence, and as you pointed out, his shirt kept flying up, and we got to see his abs, which were really impressive. You know, he's a small boy, but he is built solidly, like a tank. Like, he is... Those abs are... I think he could do gymnastics and skating. Like, I could see him being a flipper, but he also twists. And in the clips
sometimes when you say that about a skater, it's because they don't move well on the ice, but that's not what this is implying.
That's not what I'm saying, yeah.
And he moves from the core. Mm-hmm. And when we talk about some of our Canadian young friends, it lacks kind of a center in the body.
Yes.
And his core is so anchored, and every extension comes from it and has command and power, and it is decided he is going to do that move, and he does the move, and he completes the move in its fullness, and it just has such impact and gravitas. So, and he looks a little bit older, the hair's a little bit longer, like, I don't know, I get it.
There's a confidence there, too. He's been a top man in the world for a number of seasons now. He's been a medalist for a number of seasons now. And it comes through. In the same way that Nathan is growing and maturing and evolving and growing in his swagger, you know, the three of them, it was interesting. We were saying, it's kind of like Boitano, Fadeev, and Orser, like three different great talents.
Yeah. And I would say I don't get competitive desperation from these programs. I get an exploratory, let's find something that you can say. And I enjoy that immensely. That's why I like it.
I mean, I think when you think about it, if a man of Shoma Uno, Nathan Chen, Hanyu skates a lights out program that they believe in, they land the jumps, how often are they not going to win? I mean, it is so rare that you see someone do a perfect performance and lose. And it's a second, and perhaps it's another silver medal. But these great works of art that we see typically win when the skater believes in it, or the better results. So you don't
believe in it, and that is key. And so this thing with Nathan, he's finding his way, and I think he's on board with it. Mm-hmm. Shoma does this with conviction. Shoma, it's like he has to skate this program, and again, I don't think that the goal going in is what program will win. It's what program will you emote so well that you win.
I think that's what was missing from him last season. Because remember, we loved the program with the singer who came in at the end the year before the Olympics, and it didn't have that. And you could always tell that Hanyu loved skating the Saime performance and really came alive to it, especially during that footwork sequence. And I felt like that was really missing from Shoma last year with the Four Seasons and his programs. It just felt a little flat to me, a little generic. Safe.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Overthinking with the points and the jumping passes, and perhaps now that they are more restricted on the quads, perhaps we'll have to see more creative programs. And hopefully they do judge the programs and really evaluate. Because I think that Nathan is going to go through a lot. He's maturing a lot. He's going to go to school. He's going to think about things differently, think about skating differently.
And as you mentioned, his rink is getting crowded.
His rink is getting crowded. Kolyada, look at you with the transitions, has been there over the summer. And that's interesting, too, because Kolyada does have a quad Lutz. So Nathan does know that Raphael's going to be working with someone as his top man while he's away. So
Right.
that has to be motivation to you too to keep up your skating, because otherwise there could be another really top man added into the mix. In the past, Koira has shown potential, but something was missing in the training. Obviously, for him when he goes out to compete, for to have such uneven results, when he perhaps has some of the most gorgeous jumps when we saw his quad love.
So let's talk about this, Dave,
Yeah.
for just a second to get your take on it. Because you are more the guru than I on this kind of thing. For someone to say, oh my gosh, his technique is so beautiful. I'm talking about Koyoda now.
Mhm.
His technique is so beautiful, ... when it works. Or when he lands the quad lutz, it is the best in the world. We saw it, like, I think once on the Grand Prix, and sure enough, it was like epic. You were like, take video of this. It's the most beautiful quad lutz I've ever seen. However, because of that lack of consistency, it's a bit different in opera, for instance. Like, to me, the technique is there to serve the interpretation, but it also creates the consistency. So the idea that someone has excellent technique, and we saw someone else trying triple lutzes, where in some videos where the technique seemed to be on par, but then it results in the fall anyway. Does that make
the
sense?
video that we saw of Gracie training? Like,
Okay, I didn't know if we were allowed.
We can just say it. We saw a video of Gracie attempting a triple lutz. Well, these are different things. So you could talk about fitness level, you could talk about stamina, you could do all different things that are, the technique could be, get there. Obviously, when you're in better fitness, you'll get a better result. That's why at the end of a program, when they're doing these quads, and sometimes the body throws it forward, if things are, you lean forward on the takeoff, or you lean back, or something like that, the body is not as upright and everything in a perfect position.
So the person may have the knowledge and be able to use that technique, but within the fatigue of the program is no longer able to access that same technique because they don't have any strength left that technique requires.
Yes.
Okay.
And then sometimes it's mental too, because sometimes they go for what should be a quad lutz and they don't pull in because they perhaps haven't trained the program, feel nervous about it, feel anxious, so on and so forth. Yeah. Then you have things where jumps where you're kind of waiting for them to fail. So
right.
There's all different things. But Koyoda has been someone who really, he can rotate well in the air. There's just...
Yeah, so there's a disconnect. I'm curious why there was the inconsistency that there was, especially at the start of a program. If now, that we know about the North American versus the Russian training styles of programs in their entirety, but to me, the first jumping pass should be void of that kind of conversation. So I'm intrigued what Raphael can do for him, and maybe what Raphael pinpoints as that disconnect.
It could also be, how often are you landing that jump before you put it in a program? Some people need to be at 90%. Some people need to be at 95%. Some people can be 70% trained and go out and hit everything. And other people, if they were 70%, they would go out and absolutely tank the event, pop everything. So there's so many different factors there to that. That's why it's very interesting to watch practice when you go to an event. I think I always, in the past, Gracie was someone who really needed to be hitting 90-95% in practice to be able to go out and compete very, very well. When we saw her at the St. Paul Nationals win and do very well, she did have a mistake in the short that was shocking because she was skating so well. I think we would see maybe a long program with one mistake, and it would be like maybe she popped the loop, but it wasn't maybe a fall, and maybe everything else was just big and confident, and then she would go and, she's at a point now in her training where we were able to see clips earlier today that someone who's down in Philadelphia, there's a camp going on, so we're getting more reports. She did do all of her triples today, but maybe it was 1 out of 3, 2 out of 6, 2 out of 5. So,
which is, if we knew she was coming back for nationals, we'd be like, all right. But to know that it's much earlier than that could seem alarming.
Yeah, and especially you're not even talking about combinations.
Yeah, go for it.
And these are not even in run-throughs. So, that's the different thing. But I think with her, it'll be possible. I just think that this is a long-term project, and I hope that everyone keeps giving her the support. And I also I question if putting her out in Russia is. I would give her a free pass to nationals. A special, exemplary. It's not fair, but who cares? Like just
Yeah.
if she wants to go, do it. If she's not ready, next year I would still keep her in the selection pool because this is an exceptional talent. We could still see the height on the jumps is still there even before she's in, competition readiness. So.
And I think to maximize her chances for success are so important as someone who has a complicated mental history with the sport and maybe how she left it or whatever. I would want to make sure that it was a positive return to kind of set the stage for positive experiences, and to be thrown under the bus too soon, I don't know, it could really have a negative impact.
I mean, I don't know how she feels about it. That would be interesting too, but I think warm-up events would be something great. It gets into a sticky situation where how does she qualify for nationals because you're getting buys and certain things and they don't allow them anymore, but this is something where I would make a special exception. And
well, it's also, it makes me go back to Tanya and Nancy, as everything does, when they were rehabbing Nancy and she was skating so secret all that time. No cameras, no flip, you know what I mean? Could you imagine? So then also the idea of Gracie trying to get her feet back underneath her in such a visible way. I mean, I know that's how the skaters are raised to do all of this kind of work in front of everyone else on the arena or in the rink. But like your Gracie Gold, everyone on that session stops every time you start setting up a jump and we're going to watch.
I mean, that's why some people abandon their comebacks. I mean, you have to get over that.
Yeah, it's that element that I think to try to be vulnerable, to try to take risks, and then
I even felt as an adult skater, silly in a way because when you're an adult skater and you're practicing with children who have mastered many of the elements that you're learning how to do, you do feel like the old fool in the beginning. And then I also found it motivational because I said to myself, I'm not going to show up and look laughable. I'm going to at least look competent as an adult, who's doing something. And that kind of pushes you along because there are definite days when you're on sessions and you're working on something or, not in the shape that you want to be, you're working and someone else is whipping around you doing double jumps or double axel or, working on triples and you're, falling on back crossovers. But it is also motivational. So, each person is different.
Depending on that personality type. And even though we know she came from like a tough background with Nordshev in Chicago and all these sorts of things, like I don't know if she's actually wired that way. To feel like tough and hardened, or if she needs encouragement and kindness.
They said she seemed pretty happy, from getting her things. It didn't seem very stressed. So, who knows? Maybe if she does not go to Cup of Russia, I don't think all is lost. I think she's still, has regained a lot, and
this was the most we've seen from her in a long time. This was much more than we'd ever seen in the year previous, leading up into that Olympic season, when she was doing like double toes or something, you know what I mean, or whatever. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I think, a week ago we heard she was on the harness, or a week or two ago, and then now she was out and trying to jump on themselves. So, I think you see how much progress you can make. She's obviously an exceptional talent. So,
of course, the spring alone, even still. So, and we were hearing about the double axels being just big as all get out. The spring is not lost.
See, that's what worries me about Alyssa Liu with this triple axel is that she does not have the natural spring, and that's not being
day +5.
That's what concerns me when you talk about the rushing and the development. Is that Gracie? There were talks that she was pushed too fast onto the scene, but she did come up through the ranks and did not show up.
Yes, this way, but I felt her physical technique was not rushed. Did you feel that?
No. And I think that when you see someone who's itty-bitty doing a triple axel that's sometimes rotated, sometimes not, the number of falls that they're going to take and how the body is going to change, and they don't seem to have the speed or the raw strength, when it's based on kind of an Atari quick rotation.
It has a Russian quality to it. Yeah.
And I think that Alyssa Liu does have a lot of talent. I really think they need to focus on the basic technique, what's going to last and what is going to get her where she needs to go. They're pushing her. She's been in every summer competition this summer, just about tons of shows. Now she's going off to the Asian Trophy. But when are you just going to do the core developmental work? Because there is a gap even between when you see the Russians, and people will criticize their skating skills, but their junior Grand Prix stars are far ahead of her. And they have a couple of years more on her, but there is something missing. And I feel like the USFS is so quick to encourage a star. I would not have encouraged her to...
Yeah, you know how you encourage a star? By going slow and steady and making sure they've got all their ducks in a row so that when they hit, they go.
And you also learn to compete at a level when it's appropriate.
Right.
When you should be a junior, you compete against other juniors, and that's how you build the mental strength. She's going to go out against seniors and have the skating skills that don't match. So let's say Mirai competes at nationals. How are you going to give Alyssa Liu marks comparable to Mirai, who's going to fly around her on the ice rink?
Right.
Either you're going to crush someone because perhaps they don't have the same ability, or you're going to piss off the other skaters by inflating the marks of someone who's a little hotshot. It's
an interesting concept, and just to be that annoying guy that brings it back to music for a second, like this will happen to me if I try to memorize a piece too soon. And I've memorized it, it's in a foreign language, something like that. I'm doing a scene, I'm singing it, and then I can't remember the words. I'd rather stop the rehearsal, check the words, get it right, keep going. Now, another option is, could I have flubbed all the words and made it up just so we can keep going? Yes, but I'm learning to do that, not to do what is correct. And sometimes I know they want these triple axles solid as young kids, because then it's only the ones that really solidified it at an early age that can come back to it. Mm-hmm. Whether they come back to it or not is another thing. But like, Mariah had done all these before. Michelle even was trying them before. You know what I mean? Tiffany Chen. Like, always when they were early, they were trying these sorts of things. So, but to me, something when she lands them, it reminds me of those, like the legs seem a little tangled, and there's a big, it hurts when she lands it, to me. It feels like all of the weight is slamming right in, her whole body is receiving a traumatic impact. And so I just get nervous about the sustainability, and the more she competes doing the jump that way, to me, the more it solidifies that it will always be like that. But that's me coming from what would happen with musical muscle memory and things. I don't know if that's the case for the skating.
Well, you do get muscle memory. I think with hers, the thing I wonder is you get a reputation for having the jumps almost around, almost not. You get used to competing jumps that are almost around, almost not, and then you accept it. And with her, it's that axle. It's sometimes around, sometimes not. And while it's great that she's attempting it at 12, maybe not in competition.
I want to see it on every warm-up at every competition. But you know what I mean? But like, again, to mentally lock that in as part of your experience. Also, a way to encourage a young talent to me. I don't know Cindy Stewart personally, and I can't say I know too much of her work that I don't know that there's a program that I was like, I love that program, who did it, and it was by her. Is how I will say that. And this was a disappointment for me because this was an example of curmudgeon Jonathan hearing big moments in the music that were completely ignored, and then in other moments of silence, it was a flurry of activity responding as if there were musical moments that required that, but there weren't. So it's like I've mentioned to you, like on the beam, when all of a sudden these gymnasts start doing this like weird like break dance, like several moments of like dancing or whatever, and you're like, what was that? What was that? That's almost what this Spanish short program had to it. And I understand, Spanish, every young skater, you're like, oh my gosh, just give them a nice little Spanish number. But it's such a teaching moment to be like, listen to how it goes, ba-dum-bum, or something, and respond to that musical moment with a physical gesture, or be like, hear how there's nothing in the music here? Maybe we won't do 5 different poses in the silence because that doesn't make any sense. Again, I want them to cultivate a well-rounded, historically important skater. You know what I mean? Not just a girl who can eke out a triple axel here and there.
Yeah, I just get worried when you see the arms going and the legs are not moving as much. I mean, you look at how many cross strokes it takes her to get to the rink. While it may be age appropriate, you have to start developing that. And that's how you can kind of start to see who's going to have the lasting talent.
But she is very talented.
She is very talented and very mentally strong. You can.
My question is about when you have a talent like that, how do you channel your energy with her? Mm-hmm. And so my question is maybe with the choreographer and the coach and not with her.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that this is a year for learning and growing, and it seems like they're really pushing her out to make her established, and it's too young, too soon. It's a lot. And then how do you start to grow up and go through the awkward years before even the Junior Grand Prix. I mean, that's early for the USFS to really promote someone, break someone. Ting, though, who is now with Tom Z, reports were, the technique was a little bit better. There aren't videos from Glacier of her. She finished behind Alyssa Liu. So those triple axels did pay off for Alyssa. But Ting will be interesting to watch, too, because she was often very talented, more inconsistent, sometimes injured, but I think it'll be interesting to see how that fares over the next few years as well.
Yeah, I mean, already there's a slight concern. It's each time I hear the name or see her skate, it's very up and down. Mm-hmm. I don't really get a sense of what's coming. So hopefully, it all lines up.
And then we have this new Tom and Tammy partnership, and who knows how that's going to last. And it seems like Karen is back there. She was working with Arashev. Now she's getting medical. They were talking about an MRI when she was at the Termodlin show. I think there's some sort of an injury. Jonathan, she took the ACTs. I don't see a big, giant step forward for Karen. I think unless a big change.
The joke I made yesterday was, well, do you see her in a pantsuit competing just one national short program and calling it a day now that she's going to go to college instead? But
I don't think it's that bad. But yeah, I think that I don't see the giant improvement going forward. I think at this point, I feel like
she was set up perfectly to make one. Mm-hmm. And when your interview with Elvis Stoico randomly, when he was talking about you're only given so many opportunities. Mm. So if you miss some of them, it's hard to know that another one like it will come along. And she's received several big opportunities. And also when you have the sports psychologist on, I say this all the time, if you don't change what you're doing, how can you change the result? So that's why I was so excited she was in Chicago, because I was really excited to see what that pairing might have resulted in. But it sounds like we've just,
now they can have the excuse that Tom is the new and Tammy's the comfortable and the something blue. And, that Tom is going to fix it. I don't know. Tom could, but I think that Alex was an interesting, complete change. I mean, that the offense is good. Yeah.
Sometimes you need that total clean break and just try something else. The off-ice training in particular.
I think we will see Mariah. It seems like there are hints that she will be competing again, so...
She looked good in some of her Instagram photos, and to me, you're posting them for more than just proving you can,
and she skated very well at the show that I saw her at recently, so...
Looks better than ever.
She did. I mean, we didn't see any triple, so it's hard to, you see better than ever. You're just judging from a solo jump, but I thought she looked happy, looked quite strong. So,
yeah.
It'll be interesting to see if what the competitiveness does. If she gets back into that arena, does old habits reemerge, etc. Will she, really show up? How busy will she be? It's interesting, when you get out of that mindset. We know that Weaver and Poge, after this interview, I'm going to tack on my chat that I had with Igor Shpilband last week. He does say that he's working with Weaver and Poge. He worked with them on their rhythm dance, and he will be, working with them after they tour to prepare for next season. But, we know that Chalk and Bates are finally in Montreal, there to start training after their foot injury. So it's a weird thing. It feels like summer's almost over, Jonathan. We know the Junior Grand Prix assignments are coming out.
Yeah.
We'll start to seeing all these shifting for the Grand Prix, starting to be like, ooh, Julianne and Charlie aren't competing. The Chinese are out.
Right.
Who's in? I actually think that there may be like a number of American pairs who have maybe solid finishes, and then I hope that Phil Hirsch doesn't then turn around in a year and say the fall of, statistically from one year to another. I think we may see a really interesting year with people getting opportunities they would not necessarily.
American pairs, Dave.
Yeah.
We saw, you brought this up yesterday, we saw that Delilah and Jim were collaborating a little bit.
They worked with Tara and Danny on the twist. And that's something that Mitch has wanted forever, So
Understandably so. I'm intrigued to, I don't know how much can really be cultivated in a one-time session like that. But of course she knows they're skating, so I'm sure it's been diagnosed what she thinks they need and all this sort of stuff. But I'm intrigued because it's clearly something she knows how to teach, and it was clearly something that they needed the help with. Yeah. So I'm intrigued to see how it works. Because at Nationals I felt like he was doing all the work.
Yeah, Danny. Yes, on the twist. Yeah.
It was too much effort on one side. So I'm intrigued, and I kind of liked that idea. And you mentioned that also Ashley and Tim had been seeing.
Yeah, they posted that they were working with them as well. So
I hope it all helps.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see how these pairs are gonna, especially because there's only one spot. That's the interesting thing too, is that Worlds is set on last year on the results, but so many of those teams are gone. And now Canada has the spots, but do they have the teams? I mean, you almost wish there could be a recalibration of sorts.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's very strange going from last year to this year when so many teams have dissolved or broken up.
Right.
But I think that'll be a curious thing to watch. Also, we did see on the men's side in Canada, in the Toronto, perhaps we won't go as negatively into it, but Orser's skaters went 1 through 4. Through the cricket club, and it was interesting to kind of watch, Conrad Orzel. He was doing Romeo and Juliet, and then it went into a Josh Groban cover of A Time for Us.
For that, I was ready to drink the poison at that juncture. Like that was tough.
But I think with all of Orser's students, they focus so much on getting them good edge quality and good, technique on the quads, but there doesn't seem to be. The finishing details really bug the shit out of me.
And you brought up a really neat point, because someone like Javier did learn that with, but I am intrigued how he learned that with them, if that was with age or his own choreographers, or because they were giving him special attention, or because you would think that these are the kinds of things that more often than not are developed in a young skater. But like Tom Z always cites Carolina, as being a disaster forever, and then she learned all that later. But to me, they are exceptions to the rule.
In general, it's interesting. I think with Orser, so many of them, these boys get the limbs, and then they don't know what to do with them, and then you talk so much about core. It's very evident that Shoma had a lot of dance training, and that Nathan did. And Nathan still struggles with posture at times. But I think to watch, Stephen Gogolev, just the limbs are not being paid attention to, and here's someone who is such a talent. You just want them to get a ballet teacher right now and be working on this and have it be a real prime focus.
You mentioned something interesting because it's gangly more than I remembered. And I noticed that I'm 6'5", so if I ever gesture, you notice so much more what I'm doing with my arm. And because his arms were so long-seeming, their flailiness was extra apparent. But even in the step work sequence in the Prix, I think it was, the Sherlock Holmes, he actually was like flailing so much it was throwing off his balance, and he was like falling out of it a lot. And you mentioned something about the torso growing at this point in comparison to the limbs. But what were you saying?
Like when you're going through, and it seems like you don't grow at the same rate. Didn't you ever have a growth spurt when you're like 14, 15, and all of a sudden like your jeans don't fit, and all of a sudden they're like your limbs, your legs seem like.
But I think other people went in spurts. But so I was pretty gradual, and by 8th grade,
I definitely had a period where I felt like my legs and my limbs grew overnight. Like I felt like my arms were like grew a foot. Like it was just like you see pictures.
Did it hurt?
What?
Did it hurt?
No, I just felt like I didn't know how to hold my body. Like you feel like uncomfortable in your. And you see that, like, kind of like that Nam Nguyen awkwardness, but you have to really work through it because otherwise it becomes a life choice. So that's
yeah. There was a baby giraffe feeling to the newness of his limbs, but his air position still was so beautiful. It's a very impressive talent for sure.
Yeah, mine was like when I was about 15. It just like came and like it was just, what is going on? Yeah, it was very awkward stage. Still growing out of it. But
I was awkward too, but it had nothing to do with my arms. Okay.
Oh no. The arms were so long and strange. How long did your arms get? What age? Did let us know in the comments. When did it get all strange for you? It happens with boys all the time. Exactly. So you really see it too. And the girls are more often to take ballet, so I know that Tom Dixon has been forcing Camden Polkinen to take dance class like twice a week. And he said that Camden was taking it last year before Junior Worlds, and then he noticed over the summer, even when he was gone for a little bit, that Camden, had stopped taking, was traveling and whatnot, and wasn't taking the classes, and there was a regression. So you could see that...
To have studied, but to actively study was actually what does it. Yeah. Yes. Okay.
Unless you're one of those people that has studied for so many years that you feel like you don't need it anymore. So I don't think Isabella Tobias was going to ballet later on in her ice dance career when she had injuries and everything like that. But yeah, I mean, you can tell Tessa Virtue had that training so ingrained in her. And then, yeah, but it's all the body movement, all body awareness, all core. This core is the center and the limbs extend, Jonathan. It's what we all...
And if you need any more dancing advice, you can consult Dancing with the Stars judge.
Adam Rapon. Yes, these transitions, Jonathan. So it's interesting to me that he's really going the TV personality route. There aren't many shows, especially without distance shows. And not that I'm sad because they were always crap, but they were an opportunity that you felt like they could be developed into something better than they were.
Right.
But perhaps without the money or the time to really do them. But it's almost sad to me that he achieved fame and is sort of going the celeb route in spite of skating. And he seemed to know that quite quickly. He said that he wanted to be known as someone who, he skated, rather than he's a skater who's also entertaining. So.
Right. It's interesting. I mean, I'm sure there's a cap to how long the outside of skating fame will last. So I don't know if they have to capitalize on every non-skating opportunity in the interim, because ultimately he could always go back to his show and the name recognition will not have gone away, whereas it might have in the reverse,
I'm also curious, Dancing with the Stars Juniors, how that will do. I mean, it feels like it's season 45 of the show. I know it's like season 27, 28, 29, 30. Yeah, you're having spin-offs so late in the game without the original people, but we'll see. I can't say we'll be watching. Maybe we'll see clips. I think that would be the appropriate.
Some highlights or something from Talk Soon. Okay.
Highlights, yeah. I'm sure, look, it'll be...
And we can watch it with Frank Carroll because now he's retired and sitting at home.
Yeah. Although Anne said she's booking him lessons still at the desert, so he's not going to be completely...
He could never just walk away, for sure. Not.
He's one of those... I worry about these people that really retire. Although, have you ever seen teachers, once they retire, they seem like they grow 15 years younger overnight? You see them, they look relaxed and...
No, I have not known that. I've known some very, I used to work with a conductor named Lauren Mazel, and he was so amazing and so busy all the time. And then the minute he retired and actually stopped, he died very shortly.
I know. I don't think I'm ever going to be able to completely retire.
You will never stop anything, whatever. You're going to, run your retirement community with spreadsheets and community activities.
I think more I'll have projects and writing and, tutoring or something like that. I would need something to do. I wouldn't be able to...
Yeah.
No, we have structure, Jonathan. We have things that we're working on. No. Do you think you could be retired? Would you be able to just retire overnight?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I'd fill my time with silly stuff. I would fill my time for sure, but I would love it.
Oh, no.
So, if anyone wants to help make that happen.
My dad could retire completely, be fine. Just, my mom never retire. She's planning on, dying in the library and being, buried underneath the stacks of books. So, yeah, that's...
Oh, you're just like your mom. What a cliche. Okay.
Gay men and their mothers,
Yeah, I love you. Okay.
Well, Well, Jonathan, I'm getting excited for the Junior Grand Prix. We found out that your Kosternaya is going to be at the second event, and my Sherbakova is going to be at the first event, although I love them both. So
I'm still all about Kristen.
Gogolev is going to be there. We're going to see, many different talents.
And have you figured out this new NBC format?
No.
Are we able to watch the Junior Grand Prix through the NBC thing?
Well, don't we usually watch the Junior Grand Prix through the ISU YouTube? And I'm one of those people that usually watches it later because it usually is during the day.
I was going to say, come to think of it, I don't think I've watched like Belarus Live or Estonia Live or whatever.
No, but many people do. So
Okay.
I always like that they put up the individual videos quickly so that if it is going on, you can check it out. Yeah. So, no, I don't know all of the ins and outs. I'm sure we'll be on this new juncture together. I do miss some of the articles, though, from Ice Network. Even though you didn't think that you would, there is a void.
Well, with a lot of the stuff that's been happening recently, it would have been nice actually to have that resource.
Even with that positive spin. It would have just...
Yeah, sometimes it's still giving you information, just in a cotton candy format. But I still get the info. Yeah.
Yeah, and did you look at the Lake Placid dance events? This is kind of we're starting to see the new free dance elements. There are these new things we're going to be talking a lot about, that there have to be choreographed slides or choreographed character steps, and that, there are going to be, you have to do 3 choreographic sequences this year in the free dance. So it's going to be a little change, something new.
I watched Parsons and McNamara, and my takeaway was like, it's just so reactive, so much of North American skating culture. So now they just seem like French imitations.
To me, both teams, it seems like Maryland doesn't have its own point of view when they get to the senior level. It seems like they know how to put...
Yeah.
It seems like they know how to put young teams together, and they know how to bring them up the ranks, but the individual skating skills and the choreographic point of view doesn't seem to be there. I know they brought Greg Zerline in to kind of help elevate things, but it just, to me, there's something really missing. The Parsons are such a mismatch, and they've skated together, obviously, for many years, and they don't seem to have the kind of synchronicity that you would expect from...
A brother-sister team, that should be your thing, yeah.
Yeah, no.
Well, and the other team, it's just like...
The other team, they can't skate. Like, there's more edge quality in the Parsons. The other team, you're not seeing the knee bend.
So, when you're doing something that makes us wish for Guillaume Cizeron, and now we're comparative. So not only is it everyone is far greater in edge quality than he is, but now you're even below that. So why are you inviting the comparison? I think it was an unfortunate choice and really highlights more weaknesses maybe than strengths.
Yeah. And
to be derivative.
And it looks like she could be lifting him in the Parsons, and then Carpenter and McNamara, there's just nothing that stands out, and the skating skills are not there to really push them up the ranks. So I think that there is a lot of depth in the U.S., but they seem to be still in the second tier. I don't think it's going to really improve this season.
Yeah, I don't see a shift up for them like we make up.
And they look like they do need to be split up, and yeah, I do, especially the Parsons, especially. But
yeah.
Unfortunate. We're ending on a negative, Jonathan, but we'll be back next week because we'll get to see videos of the ice. I'm thinking of going to the Philadelphia summer event, so hopefully I'll take some clips of that.
They've got some good guys there.
Hopefully people will show up because everyone signs up, and then they withdrew. We would have seen Mervyn Tran with Olivia Serafini at Glacier, then they withdrew. So, it's like, no call, no show on some of these withdraws, because what happens with the summer events is you have to get a certain score to be in the international selection pool, and once skaters achieve that, sometimes they withdraw. So, yeah.
Kids these days.
But yeah, I don't know. See a little live skating. So, tune in. We're going to show the chat that I had with Igor Shpilband last week, a little bit about his career and new things that he's working on. And as always, hold an edge and look sexy. Bye, guys. Well, hello and welcome to the skating lesson. I'm Dave Leese, and I'm thrilled to welcome world, Olympic, national champion coach Igor Shpilband. Igor, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Well, I was trying to look up how many times you've actually had teams that won U.S. nationals. Do you have any idea? Or
No, sorry, I can count. It goes a long way back.
Yeah.
Starting from pencil and swallow.
Yeah. Well, one interesting thing is that you have teamed up with Pasquale Carmelengo. I think we saw the pictures of you working together. How did this come about?
Well, we actually, me and Pasquale talked about it for a long time, and we have a great relationships, and we teach close, very close, like 30 minutes away, and I mean, I really admire him as a professional. And that was on our mind for a long, long time. It just, we never had like really opportunity. Sometimes it's just technicality.
Okay.
So, but I'm really happy that we're finally working together.
Now, will you be working on the same ice together, or are you still working at? Okay.
No, we're working together on the same ice in November.
Okay. So now, how many teams do you currently have?
Oh my God, this is always a tough question because the number fluctuating. Like last week we had like 17 teams skating on the ice. Like this week, it's a little less. It's always numbers changing. So we have a lot of guest skaters. I can't even answer the question right now.
Okay.
17 teaming up together and splitting up like before we know.
Okay. Well, one of your main teams for the current year is going to be Christina Carrera and Anthony Ponomarenko, who are competing senior on the Grand Prix for the first time. I guess, what can you tell us about their development and where they are for the season?
I think they make a very big progress. I'm very happy with the progress this year so far. They've been working really hard since they finished competing at Junior World. They did show the programs at Chesapeake training camps to the judges, and had like very positive comments so far. Obviously, the program's in a stage of development, but during Skate Detroit, for the first time, they compete as a free dance, and this was kind of happy to see them doing senior free dance this early in the season. So it was quite challenging. They was very nervous, but I think they're really looking forward to compete seniors, and really excited about it.
Now, what's their music for this season?
Well, obviously the short dance is a tango for them. It's tango jealousy.
Okay.
Tango is using for the first part, and the second part is the tango Maria Buenos Aires. So those two pieces we're using for short dance. And the free dance, it's really hard to explain. It's a very like modern piece. It's not by one artist. We kind of mixed up together the different pieces to create the one piece. How to say it? It's inspired by Claire de Lune, but it's really the modern piece, just inspired by Claire de Lune. Have like not much to do with Claire de Lune. So it's kind of hard to explain what it is, but it's a very exciting piece, and it's new for them. And I think they're trying to push themselves a little bit further this year in terms of artistry and power of skating and difficulty, and I think like in every aspect. So
now, the top 3 American teams are all training together. Do you think it's an advantage for them to train away from the teams, that they have more focused attention, or how do you think it's an advantage or a disadvantage?
Well, I think it is an advantage, obviously, to skate on the ice with strong skaters. There's no question about that. I think it's an advantage for them that I can spend a little bit more time with them right now and focus on them. And I think it's really good for their development, for sure.
I guess, what is your goal for them for this season? Are you looking for worlds? Are you looking for 4 continents? What would make you pleased for first season senior?
I don't know. I think there's a field so strong in the States, and we're trying to be realistic with expectations. But at the same time, I think they're strong skaters, and they're very special team. They have a lot of talent. They have a lot to offer, and they have a lot to develop. I think they have a very good future. So I think the big goal for us will be this year just to show the judges that we're able to compete. We're able to be on a podium at U.S. Nationals, maybe not this year, but be contenders in the next years.
Yeah. So I know in the past you did a lot of choreography. Pasquale's known for choreography. So how do you divide that with the teams?
Oh, we work together. I mean, I love working together. I like with when someone some great artists like Pasquale like uh, going to go back and forth on choreography with him. That's really the trail. This is like to see what he's creating and see. Okay, well, whatever I can offer, and we're going back and forth. I think it's working together with everyone on all programs.
So we saw you working together with Caitlin Weaver and Andrew Poget on their programs for this season. What can you tell us about that collaboration?
Well, I'm very happy that I am able to work with such a talented skaters, and it did not. We were very close to work last year, but it didn't work for the numbers of reasons, and I'm really. I really thrilled to work with them. Actually, I did work with Caitlin many years ago. She mentioned when she saw me, like, I don't know, many years ago. I'm not even going to mention the number, when she was just start skating, like for. I worked with her with her previous partner when she was still skating for US. So it was like a really great collaboration working with them. They have a lot to offer. I like when they come into the lesson really prepare. They have a lot of thoughts they're putting into music, into the program, into the. They're offering a lot. So, like, for me, it was a great experience working with them.
Now, as you look later in the season, they're obviously going to be going on tour in Canada for about a month or two. How do you think that will impact them? Do you think it matters to miss the Grand Prix for a team that has that much experience? Will that hurt them?
Well, if it's up to me,
yeah,
I would recommend them to miss the Grand Prix. However, it's they're in the stage of the career, then I mean, it's hard to go for so many years and to do the same thing over and over again. Sometimes I think it's good to step back and look at the things from a different perspective and to do the different things. And I mean, they're still training, and when they're training, they work really, really hard. And I think they're a great team. They got a lot to offer, and I think they can try to do things like that. I think.
Yeah. Now, as you look at the teams this season. Last season, Virtue and Moyer and Papadakis and Cizeron were pretty far ahead of the rest of the teams. Do you feel the French are still far ahead from the rest of the pack? Is there anyone that can really compete with them?
Well, every season is different, so it's very hard to say. Sometimes you see like some teams suddenly making the huge progress, and I'm not ruling it out. I think will come out with a great program which everybody in love, and I see it. I see it very often. I mean, they're obviously the great team, and there's a lot of strong teams on top. So I hope it will be competitions.
Yeah.
And,
yeah. Well, a lot of teams are training in Montreal right now, and in the past, you've had everyone was training in Canton when you were coaching there at one point in time. How long can it last that there are so many teams in one rink? Does it inevitably split up at some point?
I don't know if there's really the numbers and the pattern anyway.
Yeah.
Can put it in. I think it's all.
How long can you keep everyone happy? All of the mothers happy. Yeah.
But it's definitely the cycle for everything. And I mean, I was very, very fortunate in my career. I had like a lot of skaters, and after I started teaching in Novi, I had like 7 teams in the 2014 Olympic Games. I had 5 teams at last Olympic Games 2018. I was very fortunate with skaters, but I think it's just my real passion is just to teach, to bring skaters from beginning. I really love to do it. I think this is where I'm at the best. I mean, I really like to work with a young team and develop them from the junior age. And this is what I did all my life. Mm-hmm. And this is what I'm doing right now, and I cannot be any happier.
So you were world junior champion. You were coached by Ludmila Pakhamova, who is the Olympic champion in ice dance. How did you meet her?
Well, that's a long time ago.
Yeah.
Good question. I was skating in the Sport Club of Army in Moscow, started training there, and the coach was Gennady Ackerman, who was teaching the group of kids, like 4 or 5 teams. And then Pakhamova was still competing that. That was 76. Mm-hmm. And that was her last Olympic Games. when she won.
Mhm.
And that was the first time Olympic Games was skated. Ice dance was the first time in an Olympic Games. And after that, she was planning to start teaching. So even before she retired, she would come and work a little bit with this group of kids, which I was lucky to be in. And as soon as she stopped skating, she took over this group. And this is how I get to know her.
Okay. And what was she like as a coach? You know.
Oh, I mean, she was a great coach. She was like, it was so inspirational. So, I was so happy that I got to work with her because she would bring like so many ideas every time to the lessons, so much good positive energy, and I don't know, that was a great experience. I consider myself very very lucky that I was able to work with her, was able to learn tango romantica from her and actually skate tango romantica with her. That was amazing.
I wanted to know, so you won the World Juniors in '83. You've devoted your entire life to competitive skating, almost. What made you stop competing as a senior?
Well, there was first of all, Pacoma was died, and that was like a really really huge thing for me. I split up from my partner, looking for the different one, and the girl I want to skate to didn't want to compete amateur. She said, "Let's go and do the show for a while." That was Russian All Stars. She wanted to compete, and I thought, okay, well, I really want to skate with her. That was her name was Elena Krikanova. She was 3-time junior world champions with Evgeny Platov.
Okay.
Before he started skating with another girl, and I really want to skate with her. So I thought, okay, well, I'm gonna go to the show and skate with her in All Stars for a little while, and then hopefully she'll change her mind. And she never did. I ended up skating with Russian All Stars, and then we team up with Jane Torvald and Christopher Dean, did the world tour, and was kind of get sucked into it. And that's my story short.
So Russian All Stars, you were with Tarasova. So did she set your programs, and did you work with her then as an athlete?
No, I never worked with Tatiana Tarasova as an athlete.
Okay.
When I came to her show, I came with Yelena Krikanova, and we just came to do the Russian All Stars, which is like professional skating, pretty much. It's not competitive.
Okay. And what was it like working with Tarasova then?
Oh, she was always a great figure in the skating, and just since I remember.
Yeah.
And I think like she's very passionate about what she's doing, and obviously it was a little bit different way from what I get used to with Pahomova, in a way with shift choreographing, but that was a great experience to learn from the coach like this, and then also being involved with such a great group of skaters. That was like really the all Russian All Stars was skate there, really the top skaters, which I always was looking up to. I was probably the youngest one in all the group was 15 skaters, and they all was had a very good names and in terms of the skating world and in terms of achievement. And also had experience to work with Jane Torvald and Christopher Dean. It was a priceless experience for me.
So you wound up defecting to the U.S. with Glacier on that tour. Obviously, he went on to skate with Rene Roca. How many offers did you get to skate in the U.S.? I mean, did many people want to compete with you when you moved? Or?
Well, I actually did compete a little bit with Susan Simonik. I skated with her for a couple of years. I did U.S. Open with her. We actually competed with Mr. Jan Bukin and
Okay.
This professional stage. We did this.
Did you want to compete amateur again when the rules opened up, or?
No. We never thought to go amateur, and no. At this time, I was so involved in teaching already. Started working with Liz and Jared, and no, I didn't even.
How did you meet Liz and Jared?
I met them in 1992. Mm-hmm. I was in Detroit. I was working with Detroit. I just started teaching there because I defected in 1990, and I had few young teams, Jessica Joseph, Charlie Butler, Yves Shalom, and Naomi Lang. I had all these little young skaters, and Liz and Jared that year missed Olympic teams, and that was like a big, very big
blow, disappointment. Yeah,
they were very upset, very big disappointment, right? They had a foul in the free dance at nationals in Orlando, so they came to Detroit pretty much during Olympics, and they asked me if I can help them to do the show number, and they want to skate to Peter Gabriel, Don't Give Up.
Okay.
And I said, okay, yeah, I know the song. So the next day I cut the music and I brought it in for them and I helped them with the number. And then they asked me if I can choreograph the short dance for them. And they decided to come back, and they were working with Cindy in this time, and she want them to work with me. And they came back for original dance, and I did the original dance for them. That was called original dance. Now it's rhythm dance. It used to be short dance, and then before it was original dance. So I did original dance for them, and then asked me if I can do the free dance for them. And then Sandy was very busy at that time because Gosha decided to go amateur. He started skating with her, and she had also Peter Breen with Rachel Meyer and many other teams. So she was happy that I was able to help her. So then she also suggested they just skate in Detroit almost as much as they can full time. So that's what they did. They moved back to Detroit. I work on a free dance with them, and kind of me and Sandy was together with them throughout the first year. We went to Skate America together. This is how I started working with Liz and Jared.
I guess at that point, American ice dance was not very successful. You know, there were always several steps behind the Russians. I guess, what do you think what was the biggest thing that you had to change with Liz and Jared, to make them more competitive?
Well, it's I see that they as a team have a huge potential. I just feel that, to me, at that time, I didn't feel that they had very stable the technique. They didn't really skate as one. It wasn't as solid as they would like to be, and they improved tremendously throughout the following years, and they become one of the strongest team in the world, and did probably one of the best programs in 98 Olympic Games, and they were an amazing team to work with. But for me, it was the first really the big team, and I didn't have much experience to work with them. So I learned a lot with them, and they were very close in age. So I was kind of working with them and learning myself too, just trying to give them all I know, the best as I can. And I think it was more collaboration, and they were just wonderful people and very dedicated athletes to work with, and I'm thankful to have opportunity to work with them.
No, you changed their free dance right before those Olympics in '98, right? What made you want to do that? I guess because they skated the Elvis program at nationals. I remember as a kid. What made you change it last minute like that?
Well, it was a good program, and we put a lot of thought to it. We got music orchestrated and the play by the band for that time. It was custom music was not everyday thing. It's right now you can go and create music on computer. It's pretty much everybody is doing it. For that time, it was a difficult project, and we feel we have a right piece. But when the program come together, I felt there is something missing in the program. It's had a skating. It's got a good skating skills and all skating components, but it's missing something in some depths. And that's why we decided to go to the tango, because the previous year they had a tango short dance, which to me suited them really well. So we were able to build a free dance based on that. And I had a very good sources at that time. I had a very good professional working here in Detroit, Paul Milligan, and he was connected with the tango club here. and he was able to bring some people from Forever Tango show and some great people which are able to help me and to bring the tango to the level. So it's not just have a good technical base, but also can touch people on very different level, which I think this program was special when they competed in '98.
Yeah, and they skated it extremely well there.
I know, that was the first time they skated the program. That was amazing. Making the changes, I feel so bad for them right now. I don't know how I did, but during Olympics, during the practices, it's okay. This part will work better. But power to them, they were able to hold it on together.
Do you think they would have been more successful under the current judging system?
I think they should have been more successful. I think that was one of the first U.S. team in that period of time to breaking in all this. Because when Soviet Union split up, it was all different story. I'm not saying that U.S. didn't have any good ice dancers. It was Judy Blomberg and Seberg. It was a lot of good teams. Miller Mills, and was a lot of good teams before. However, after Soviet Union split up, it was like such a group European skaters, which was very hard to break in the top 10. So that was, and Liz and Jared kind of worked their way up with this. And I think if they would have stayed a little longer, if they would be in a different situation, having different country would have a little bit more strength and reputation in ice dance at that time. Yeah, but everything counts, of course. I mean, it's a subjective sport, so you need to warm up people to some ideas, and that's how minds works. It's not very often you can see somebody just jump from the 15th place to first. It's happened, but not very often.
Yeah. Now, how did you meet Peter Chernyshев? Because today he's obviously a very well-known choreographer. He skated with Naomi Lang. How did you team up with him?
Well, I teamed him up with Naomi Lang because she was looking for the partner.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't feel that the partner she used to skate with really matching her level of the talent. And Peter was looking for the partner, so she went to try out with him. He was skating in Lake Placid, and that time with Natalia Dubova. So she tried out with him, and then he liked to skate with her. And Naomi said that she wanted to train in Detroit, so they came in, and that's how I started working with them.
Well, the most talented team I think I ever saw you work with was Jamie Silverstein and Justin Pekarik. When they first came on the scene, everyone thought this team was going to be world champions. So, how good do you think were they compared to the other teams, you worked with?
Oh, they have a special talent, of course. There's no question about that. I mean, Jamie with her skating quality and the feminine qualities and her feel of the music and the way she was expressing the music, it was really, really special. I mean, the Justin was very strong, and they matched together. They in a way they were different, but they play off each other. I think that was definitely the good team and had a lot of potential. They were just young ones, and they were able to walk straight to this senior ranking. So winning junior world, they had a very, very good career, and I would hope they would have a great future.
Yeah. Now, the Tori Amos program was such a signature piece at the time and so different for ice dance. So how did you come up with that?
The Jamie really liked Tori Amos, and I would start listening, because of her, I would start listening a lot of Tori Amos, and I actually, at that time, the movie came out, Great Expectation. And I feel there's could be the good mix of feeling and emotion. So I cut together the program based on the soundtrack from Great Expectation and Tori Amos. So that was that program. I'm amazed that you remember it.
Well, I remember that everyone thought they deserved to win nationals that year at the, and it was their first year, junior team. It was a little...
Competing with Naomi and Peter. Naomi and Peter was great that year too. I mean, I think the program what they did was Christopher did.
Yeah.
That was a very special program. It was to Emma Chaplin, I believe, Anytime, Anywhere. And that was a very clever program too. I was actually happened to look at it another day, and actually it was a good program, very good program.
Yeah.
The skateboard.
Now, Tanith and Ben were the first American team that you had that really started to challenge the other teams, and they were in a pretty deep field. at that time, what was able to make them competitive? Did they adapt to the judging system earlier than other teams? I guess, how did all of a sudden things start to come together for them, for the U.S.?
Well, it didn't happen over the 1 year. Like I
Yeah.
started working with a band when he was skating with another partner. He would come to Detroit. I worked with him a little bit. So when Tanya's show up, I'll team them up together. But they couldn't compete together right away because she was coming from Canada. And so they spent more than a year just doing the basic and kind of blending together. And so when they compete, like from the first year, they were able to get to the, I believe, junior world team, and they were definitely, by that time, they had a strong enough base because they had a time to develop it. And again, it didn't happen over the 1 year. So they won junior world, and then they moved to senior, and then they were able to become competitive in the senior ranking. Not right away.
Yeah. No, around that time you started working with both Davis and White and Virtue and Moyer, and they shot up, like a rocket. So I guess with both teams, did you know how good they were early on compared to other teams? Was it obvious?
I think with both of this team, I really see the special talent, like right from the beginning. I mean, the way Charlie skate and the way his blade touched the ice and how solid it is and how strong and powerful. Even when he was a kid, it was like really special. And I was always thought, okay, well, this guy was a hockey player, so it's got something to do. Like everybody should do the hockey. But I think he did have a very special physical and technical ability. The way his blade was approaching the ice, it's a special. There's like very few skaters can do that. Regarding Tess and Scott, it's I think they had a little bit like different talents. I think even from the first time I saw them, they come in and they said, "Okay, can you choreograph the program for me?" And we want to skate to tango. We want to skate to Astor Piazzolla piece, Adios Amigos. Mm-hmm. And I said, it's a very difficult piece because the rhythm change there every 15 seconds and the mood change. So it's nothing stays the same. It goes ups and down. It's one of the powerful Piazzolla piece. I said, look, I even spoke with professional tango dancers. No one danced to this piece. Mm-hmm. Even professional tango dancers not dancing to this piece on the floor in a show just because it's very difficult piece. They said, no, we want to do it. We want to skate to this piece. So we did choreograph with this music, and I was amazed how much they would be able to connect to each other in this young age. And even like a Scott, I don't know what he was, like 14 maybe, 15, was very young. He was acting as a man to her. It was like you can see man and a woman connection in the little kids. And the way he lead her, I think his partner skills is one of the best skills I ever see, because everything he's doing on the ice, he's doing for her. The way he plays her, the way he present her, the way he present himself, it's quite amazing. And he did have that. You can see it in a little kid that too, because it was something special. It wasn't obviously at the level he was doing it in Olympics later on, but you can see some evidence of that in the little kid.
Now, in terms of Tessa Virtue and Meryl Davis, they both seem to be strong female skaters, even compared to the ones that had competed before them. So I guess, how much of an impact did they have in their partnerships? Like what did you try to bring out in them?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry I didn't mention girls.
Yeah, that's okay. People will kill me if I don't ask. So yeah.
No. That is like it's equal ability. Yeah. It's equal talent. I'm not putting one ahead of another ever. It's always a team. It's always a team. Starting talking about boys, because to me, male initiate things. If male not initiate the move, not initiate skating, it's nothing going to come from girl. I think I want to give the credit to the boys. But I mean, obviously, if the girl not responding, if the girl not connected, and that would be hard to do because you can be the greatest skaters in the world if you don't have this connection as a team. There's every little simple turn would be the suffer if you don't understand the partnering. And the credit to both of those girls, they were amazing in the way how they feel partner, how they respond to the partner. And Meryl and Tessa, I think they were like the best example how the partnership should work. And there is respond and was immediate response to both of those girls.
I think with Virtue and Moira, it was very obvious early on that they were going to win. With Davis and White, it seemed like they worked their way up more, with improvement. I guess, how did you, with Meryl, it seemed like you had to work a lot with her posture and her extension to make her, look ready for, world class. How did you do that, with her?
Well, it was a challenge because at that time they compete with very tall team. Like you put Shabalin and Domina Shabalin on the ice at the same time, and they just don't have longer legs, longer extension. But I can also see that Mel and Charlie have a great skating skills. Obviously, I feel okay if they can get the power, they can get extension, they can look more powerful, they can also intricacy of the things what they do in connection and elements and how this all elements connected together. I think this is all I feel they can have edge. I mean, it's you cannot get the look if you have a long leg. You cannot make the same look. So you have to win and beat with something else. And I feel there's a lot of values in skating could be as important and more important than the look.
Is that when you really started to pay attention to the lifts? Because you were the first coach that really became known to push, I think, the lifts in ice dance, to push the technical level.
Of course, I mean, they had both of those teams had a very strong base. They were able to do the difficult things. They was very solid on the skate. They were solid together, and they were very coordinated. And girls was very coordinated, and there was a very good connection between boy and girl. They all were able to do those things. It's the things what they did. I don't think many teams can try even right now, and there is a reason for it. It's they were ready to do that.
How important was the competition between them? I mean, how much quicker is the improvement when you have kind of the evenly matched teams to kind of spar every day a bit?
There was always competition with them since the junior. I mean, every day on the ice, and I think it's also amazing because they both teams have a great personality. They're able to stay the friends throughout all that time, and it was amazing to see that.
Mm-hmm. Now, in 2012, you ended your collaboration with them, and it was kind of controversial that they went with Marina. Were you surprised at that situation, the way that it happened? Was that, a shock to you?
Oh, yeah, that was shock. Okay. That was all this situation is something I wouldn't want to relive again.
Yeah. I guess there are a lot of times that people felt that Marina had stolen the teams, kind of, that it was kind of a manipulated situation. Did you feel that way at the time? Or?
It's been a long time ago. I'd rather not to talk about it. It's just I don't like to point fingers on it. What happened would happen. It's had the reasons and.
Yeah. Well, you did move it on pretty quickly, and you had Chalk and Bates, move up right in the next season. They've been injured, lately, and haven't been training on the ice. I guess, what do you think, their future potential is?
I do think they have potential. I think they're a wonderful team. I think they had very few unsuccessful seasons in terms of performances at important competition. But I think as a team, they still have tremendous potential. Mm-hmm. They have a very strong base, and I think they have something special to offer. I do believe they have potential.
Do you expect the Shibitanis to come back? I mean, I know that they're not competing this season, but they're still relatively young?
I don't know. I cannot speculate on that. Anything can happen.
Mm. Yeah. I guess how many young teams are you currently working with, up and coming?
I have a lot of junior teams, and I have a very talented team. It's Evan and Gurin and Vadim Kolesnik.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the potential of this team and talent could match those teams we talked about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Quite amazing skaters, and I think that this year they're going to show quite progress and development.
Mm-hmm.
And they already compete 3 competitions this year. They competed at Chesapeake, they competed in Dallas, which they were the first team received +5, actually.
Okay.
First skaters period in the world. Because it was one of the first competition with a new system, +5 system. So they got 2 +5s.
What do you think about the +5 system? Are you in favor of it? I mean, how do you get a +5? What is the...
It have to be something really, really amazing. And but actually they did have the 2 elements which make the judges to award them with a +5. But that early in the season I was very
Which
proud.
elements do you know? Or...
Yes, they had rotational lift and choreo lift.
Okay.
Yeah, they did it in Dallas.
And will they be competing on the Junior Grand Prix this year, or what?
They will be competing on Junior Grand Prix this year.
So after so many years, you're doing the tango again this season. Do you get bored of tangos? You've been known for having a lot of teams skate to tangos over the years. Yeah.
I never get bored with tangos. No, I'm very passionate about tango.
Okay. Yeah. What keeps you motivated, I guess, goal-wise? What keeps you motivated to keep teaching, keep, pushing with so many teams at such a high level?
Just to have young skaters around me, which I feel I can make them better. I can give something to them. And actually, I'm very lucky to have so much talent around me. Mm-hmm. And I have opportunity to develop and contribute everything I can to them. And it's the best award for the coach. I think you cannot ask anything more.
Now, you talk about young skaters, and I remember being at a competition, and I saw your daughter do footwork when she was maybe an intermediate. That was maybe the best I'd ever seen a kid do. Why didn't she ice dance? She was not the best jumper. Why didn't she ice dance?
She didn't want to ice dance. She's a very stubborn kid. She's still a stubborn girl. But no, she didn't want to do ice dance. Didn't want to do anything to do with that. Maybe because of me. I don't know. She want to go her way. And that's what she did. She want to skate, and she chose her career in life herself. She just graduated from U of M as a nurse, and this is what she want to be. She continues to study as a nurse. She want to be anesthesiologist, and she's working, and she's a happy individual.
Okay. Well, we look forward to seeing your teams this season. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.